September 17, 2025. The Caribbean night lit up like day, not fireworks war. From the coast of Puerto Cabello, Venezuela, launched the first P-800 Onyx. Each missile 8.9 meters long, over 3,000 kilograms, carrying a 200-300 kilon warhead, screamed at Mach 2.6, almost 3,200 km/h. In minutes, they could tear apart any warship worth billions. Inside the Combat Information Center aboard the USS Arleigh Burke destroyer, alarms hammered. SPY radar locked multiple high-speed tracks. Orders cut sharp. Operation 505 activated. Prepare counterstrike. White fire ripped across the sky as air defense systems powered on. The screen flashed Mach 2.6, 200 kilon warhead, $50 million target. Numbers cold enough to freeze blood. Minutes later, a Venezuelan warship worth $50 million erupted at sea. But the verdict wasn't so simple. The question hung in the air, who really wins this clash? America with layered technology, or Venezuela with reckless audacity? The answer would unfold in the minutes ahead. The Caribbean looked calm, but tension pressed beneath the waves. Around Los Roques and the lanes off Puerto Cabello pulsed vital trade. Hundreds of tankers and container ships passed each week. A single strike could choke the flow. Venezuela, eager to assert control, deployed 2 Bastion P launchers ashore. Each carried 2 tubes for the P-800 Onyx. 10 supersonic missiles stood ready, 8.9 meters long, 3,000 kilograms, designed to punch billion-dollar steel. Opposite them stood America, with an Arleigh Burke destroyer forward, backed by Aegis SPY radar escorts, feeding air defense and electronic warfare. Overhead, 2 MH-60 Romeo helicopters patrolled sensors sweeping the waves. But the danger lay in overlap. Merchant convoys threaded the same waters. Any launch risked collateral damage, turning a duel into crisis. Venezuela chose to show firepower, waiting for the moment, September 17th. On satellite feed, a faint heat bloom flared along Puerto Cabello's shore. Not civilian light Bastion P warming up. Minutes later, intel hit the U.S. ships offshore. Alarms shrieked. Unusual movement. Launcher signature confirmed. On the ground, 150-200 Venezuelan troops took positions. Crews checked parameters. Guards sealed the perimeter. Patrols readied. On their trucks, 10 Onyx sat primed, each 8.9 meters long, over 3 tons, with warheads ready to scream at Mach 2.6. No drill. A warning written in fire and steel. At sea, the Arleigh Burke shifted to combat readiness. Over 100 sailors manned stations, 12 Tomahawks and 6 El Erasms queued as backup targets. Overhead, MH-60 Romeos circled infrared eyes cutting through black water. Logistics officers ran the math. A night like this could cost 40 to 60 million in munitions and damage. Numbers everyone took seriously. The air pressed heavy. Everyone knew 2:27 a.m. was the point of no return. Then radar lit up. A thin smoke trail appeared at first, like weather, but too hot, too dense. Veterans knew what it meant, the whisper of a storm. Launcher hatches cracked open. Metal scraped under the pale moon. Crews rushed, hands shaking. Above MH-60 infrared screens glowed with unmistakable Bastion P signatures. The report shot back offshore. Seconds dragged like hours. Then, fire. 6 P-800 Onyx ripped free. Flames streaked skyward. Steel monsters 3,000 kilograms each carrying warheads roared low, hugging the sea. At Mach 2.6, they knifed through the dark. On Aegis screens, 6 red tracks burned in. High-speed sea skimming inbound. Orders hit multiple inbound. Confirm hostile. 90 seconds later, the coast exploded again. 4 more Onyx fired. 10 missiles total. The night sky split open under the weight of firepower. Payload worth over $122 million unleashed. They say money buys power, but few imagine shape. That night, it looked like 10 blazing spears cutting through Caribbean darkness, hunting like predators in the night. At sea, chaos spread fast. An oil tanker just out of Aruba caught the urgent warning, turned hard, abandoning its route. A container ship under Panama's flag lit every deck lamp. Sirens blared, crews ran in panic. Maritime charts blinked with SOS calls and rerouted signals. Merchant vessels worth hundreds of millions veered wide, dodging a firestorm no one could predict. Cold text appeared on tactical screens, time to target under 5 minutes. Distance less than 300 kilometers. Every minute closed the gap by dozens of kilometers. Inside the Arleigh Burke's Combat Information Center, tension spiked. SPY radar locked all 10 inbound tracks. Each red marker pulsed like a knife cut across the map. The weapons officer barked Aegis lock. Engage protocol. Doubt vanished. Venezuela had fired the first shot. Sailors slammed into stations, boots pounding, steel alarms merging into a single roar. The ship moved like a giant beast awakening. CIWS and shipborne SAMs slewed into position, barrels whirring, ready to spit fire. In the suffocating room, a young officer whispered, voice trembling, "They're too fast. We may not stop them all." His words drowned beneath alarms, but his fear echoed every sailor's heart. Then command snapped, authorize counterstrike. The fight flipped from defense to offense. But before America's missiles launched, disaster struck the aggressor. A Venezuelan patrol ship caught in its own storm erupted. Whether from crossfire, blast shock, or malfunction, no one knew. A fireball tore the hull. Flames soared 30 to 40 meters high, lighting the sea like dawn. Metal shrieked, decks bent, then snapped. Red-hot shards rained down like meteors. A $50 million warship gone in seconds, leaving only a black oil slick. The blast rolled ashore. Houses trembled. Civilians screamed as fire clawed the sky. On the radio, a broken voice cracked, "We're hit. Ship is gone." Collateral damage multiplied. Merchant ships diverted. A $50 million Venezuelan warship destroyed. The Caribbean burned not from city lights, but from war. In the brief silence after the blast, both sides knew this was far from over. Venezuela had thrown its iron punch, but had eaten the first countershock. Operation 505 was only beginning, and the world was watching. On the Arleigh Burke, the commander's voice cut clean launch sequence authorized. No cheers, no wasted breath, just cold synchronization. 8 Tomahawks, 4 LRASMs. They roared from their tubes, flame tails splitting the Caribbean dark. Each missile worth millions, but no longer just budget lines. They were answers to Venezuela's Onyx, proof of discipline measured in seconds. The missiles skimmed black water, turning into streaks of light across displays. Tomahawks hugged terrain, riding waves like sharks in the dark, vanishing under radar. LRASMs flew smarter, locking onto surface targets on their own. In the CIC, operators tracked streams of data, satellites, patrol aircraft, helicopters, and orchestration of sensors and steel. This wasn't blind rage, it was a data ballet, every move controlled by discipline. Minutes later, the Venezuelan coast lit up. A Tomahawk punched into an ammo depot, triggering a violent detonation. A column of flame rose like a volcano. Shockwaves knocked out shoreline power, plunging the coast into blackout on satellite feeds. Another Tomahawk smashed into a Bastion P launcher. Fire engulfed the tubes, trucks twisted into wreckage. For Venezuelan crews, it wasn't just lost hardware, it was their shield and their symbol gone in fire. Moments later, the second launcher met the same fate. A missile slammed into its fire control radar. Antennas, shredded, systems went dark. The Caribbean night went silent. No more radar hum, only smoke and ruin. In minutes, 2 pillars of coastal defense were gone. But the strikes didn't stop on land. At sea, a Venezuelan corvette tried to retreat. Small against the vast dark, but not beyond reach. An LRASM locked on slammed into her hull. The blast thundered. The ship shuddered, then split. Flames shot 30 meters high. Red-hot steel rained like meteors. A $50 million warship sank into a spreading oil slick, leaving only a panicked cry. Mayday, we are hit. The tone across the sea shifted. The blasts faded, replaced by the roar of American helicopters. Rescue teams deployed instantly, scanning for survivors. Drone feeds confirmed the truth. Ammo Depot destroyed 2 Bastion P launchers, gone radars offline, 1 corvette lost. Battle damage assessment froze the CIC Venezuelan losses, already beyond $150 million. In less than 15 minutes, the battle space was secure. Civilian exclusion zones broadcast. International shipping rerouted. For civilian sailors, it was a night of terror. Navigation lights gave way to towering columns of fire. When silence fell aboard, the Arleigh Burke, sailors removed helmets, wiped sweat. No cheers, no victory shouts, just the knowledge of a mission executed. Operation 505 was not over, but the counterstrike had proved one truth: when men and machines move in strict unison, the course of battle flips. In under 30 minutes, the Caribbean night closed with flames flickering on the horizon. Venezuela's coast was dark, its launchers reduced to smoke. U.S. ships held formation. Counterattack was more than punishment, it was a message. Discipline and precision are weapons stronger than any reckless strike. The numbers told the story. Venezuela had fired 10 P-800 Onyx worth $12.5 million. America answered with 18 missiles, 12 Tomahawks, 6 LRASMs a salvo, costing $40–50 million. In under 30 minutes, both sides burned through the budget of national projects, trading them for wreckage and smoke. Venezuela's losses topped $150 million, 2 Bastion P launchers, destroyed an ammo depot gone radar, silenced 1 corvette torn apart. For a small navy, the blow was more than financial. It was psychological collapse. Caracas's capability crippled. Over 60 Venezuelan sailors and troops, killed or wounded, 20 to 40 dead that night alone. Orange life vests floated in the swell, Mayday calls fading into silence. America, by contrast, recorded no significant casualties. The gap was undeniable layered technology against desperate single-stroke tactics. Shockwaves rippled beyond the battlefield. Shipping routes detoured hundreds of miles. Insurance rates spiked overnight. The waters off Venezuela stamped as a red zone. Global markets priced in risk. International media showed images of burning ships and fire columns. Many nations condemned Venezuela for firing first, calling it reckless provocation. Regional blocs demanded restraint, while Washington released reports stressing precision and proportionality even in retaliation. Diplomatically, Caracas stood cornered, facing sanctions and isolation. September 17, 2025, Operation 505 did more than sink a $50 million ship. It exposed the fragility of a strategy built on expensive weapons without discipline. The final tally, 28 missiles fired more than $150 million, erased dozens of lives lost. Proof that in modern naval war, precision and discipline outweigh reckless speed. Venezuela believed a few salvos could shake a fleet forged through decades of modern war. Instead, their noise and bravado vanished in minutes, leaving only bitter silence above a sea of smoke. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy needed no boasts. They answered with cold precision, perfect rhythm between sensors, command, and firepower. A giant machine moving steady, never rushing, never breaking formation. That is the difference between reckless gamble and the art of modern war. And now the question is for you. Who was truly wiser that night if you think it was Venezuela Type 1? If you believe the U.S. Navy with calm precision carried the real message of this century Type 2 in the comments? Don't forget to hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, so you won't miss the next part, where we break down the diplomatic and economic aftershocks of this firestorm. The battle may be over, but the story has only just begun.